with Christian and Sonic. Just want to say hi. Hope you're all doing well. Remember to meditate, be mindful, enjoy your family, and this too shall pass. See you guys soon, and welcome to Mr. Cap's class. Focus.
Just dictators when it comes to World War II. Okay? Explain the dictators that came to power in Europe in the 1930s. Why do you think to do now would be why do you think a dictator might be able to gain power during a depression? And what were the results of the Treaty of Versailles? Okay? So you guys know the results of the Treaty of Versailles because we went over that in the last chapter. Well, actually, 2 chapters ago in World War One. Most of the blame was put on to Germany. They had to pay reparations that totaled like billions and billions of dollars. They were not able to do so. They fall into a depression. Eventually, the world falls into a depression, which makes it even worse in places like Germany and allows men like Adolf Hitler to take power. Okay, so a dictator is an absolute ruler. Okay, so they have absolute power. Okay, one of the reasons they were able to take power during this time period is because of the economic and political problems going on, being the Great Depression, and then the results from the Treaty of Versailles. So Germany had to eliminate their military power. Germany had to pay back all these reparations for, again, did Germany start the war? No. There was a Serbian terrorist who killed a archduke from Austria-Hungary. Germany backed Austria-Hungary. Okay, they were the biggest aggressors in the war? Yeah, probably. Did they deserve all the blame? No, it was everyone's fault. Okay, the alliance systems, the building up of the military, all the countries were doing that in Europe. But Germany has to take all the blame. So Hitler uses that to his advantage, where he is going to appeal to the people and say, "Hey, let's bring back Germany." You know, he's going to bring back Germany to its greatness. He starts the Third Reich, which is the third like Great Reign. And people who are desperate, you have this great speaker because Hitler was a really good speaker, coming up with all these like plans that sounds good at the time. They're going to follow him, and that's what they did. Okay, and you're going to see that in a couple other countries. Soviet Union with Joseph Stalin, that's more of well, it's communist, so it's a little different. Fascism and communism are different types of things. Fascism is like far right, communism is far left. Okay, fascism is like built with like racism, where communism, again, I'm going to go over like the political spectrum. So these are a list of different dictators you're going to have. Spain's actually going to have a civil war during the 1930s, where this is where eventually you're going to see like Francisco Franco take over. Japan is going to be an imperial empire, and they're going to just start taking over all the Pacific. Benito Mussolini, who actually used to be a kindergarten teacher for a short time, is going to take over in Italy. Joseph Stalin, who's a communist, takes over. He's like Lenin's protege, takes over in Soviet Union, which is Russia. You can remember the Russian Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution in the 1917-1918 that overthrew Tsar Alexander and the government that was in place in favor of communist nation. Okay, and then you have Adolf Hitler, who's a fascist in Germany. And again, we're going to fascism right now. So fascism, preaching an extreme form of patriotism and nationalism that's often linked to racism. Okay, so you do want to know that is important. You should write that down or highlight it, whatever you guys are doing. They would persecute those who disagree. So again, you guys know about the Holocaust. The Holocaust was not just Jews; it was primarily Jews. But any German who spoke out against the fascist government that the Nazis had was sent to either a death camp or a workers camp, labor camp, whatever you want to call them. Mussolini of Italy, El Duce, which translates to the boss or leader. Okay, and then Hitler of Germany, who is the Fuhrer. Those are the two fascist governments that are going on in Europe. Both are led by dictators. Okay, the Nazi Party is the National Socialist Workers' Party. That's what it stands for. Okay, Hitler is not the founder of the Nazi Party. He just came in and was a very vocal, energetic guy and was able to kind of take over. Okay, and again, he came to power legally, technically. So he was a dictator, but the way he was brought to power, which I'm going to show you guys in a video, was technically legal, but was very sketchy. So there's a good oversimplified that I'm going to put because it explains a lot better than I would. Okay. We'll quickly just talk about Hitler. Okay, so there's a worksheet tonight that I'll give you guys. So Hitler was a failed artist who couldn't get into art school. He was not from Germany. Okay, and he did fight for Germany in World War One. He was injured. Received an Iron Cross. There's an interesting story of he was sitting in a trench. He was wounded. A British soldier walked over, pointed the gun at him, and then saw that Hitler was kind of just like helpless and left Hitler. And during the 1930s and 1940s, Hitler, like using propaganda, thanked the man. Okay, and they were able to figure out who the man actually was in Britain that spared him. And it's kind of like it's an interesting story. You should go read it. So there's actually a simple history video on that too. Maybe I'll put that in there. So he's devastated with the German loss. He blames communists, and he blames Jews. Okay, so we're going to see him side with Stalin at the beginning of the war, and then he's going to quickly betray him and kind of stab him in the back and then go invade the Soviet Union. So we'll talk about that. And with the Jews, you kind of know what he does with the Jews. He's going to throw them into concentration camps. Okay, again, he does lead the Nazi Party during this time period. He didn't create the Nazi Party, but he leads the Nazi Party. This symbol is just a swastika. It's like an old Buddhist symbol that's like flipped. Okay, and now when you look at it, you immediately just think Nazis. But prior to that, it was used for other things. Okay, and he wants to bring back the Aryan race, which is the white race, and the typical Aryan race is like tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, which Hitler was none of those things. So it was kind of hypocritical. Now, this is actually his art. Okay, so again, we talked about how he was a failed artist. He was in Vienna trying to go to art school. This was what his art was. Okay, which honestly, it's not that bad. It's pretty good, but it wasn't good enough. So a big one of the big what ifs is what would have happened if he actually just became an artist. Probably wouldn't be a world war. Well, there probably would have been eventually. Okay, so last thing I want to do is I guess I have to do all this. Okay, so 1923, Hitler tries to lead a coup. A coup is a revolt against the government, usually coup d'etats, usually in the military. He was just going to use the Nazi Party. He goes to these beer halls and jumps on the tables and starts to try to like rally the people to revolt against the government. It doesn't work. He's put in prison. His prison's nice. There's pictures of it. I'll show it to you. But in that, he wrote Mein Kampf, which translates to My Struggle. And in Mein Kampf, he writes what he's going to do with the Jews. He writes what he's going to do. He essentially like lays out his entire plan for what he does in World War II, and people just ignore it. But he becomes famous as a result of it, both because of the trying to stand up to the government and the book. What Nazis would have to do to show that they were loyal to the Nazi Party is they'd have to have a copy of Mein Kampf on their coffee table in their living room. If they did that, they would show loyalty. So say that the Gestapo came in and they saw that, they would know, okay, these people, well, not necessarily, but you would want to have this book if you were German and you want to keep it in your living room so people could see that you're loyal to Hitler during that time period. Okay. He spoke to mass audiences about making Germany a great nation again. He used propaganda. We've talked about what propaganda is. Okay, it's used to sway people's opinion. I'm going to show you guys videos of him speaking. There's so many videos I could show. I'm trying to think of what I should do first. I don't know. I'll figure it out. So he becomes chancellor, which is the head of the government in 1933, and then he uses those powers to then make himself dictator. All right. So again, the way he comes to power again is sketchy, and we're going to talk about that. But technically, he does it legally. Okay. And then he makes himself dictator. Okay. So the Reichstag fire gives Hitler total power. We're going to go over that, so don't worry about that right now. All parties were outlawed except the Nazi Party. The Reichstag is the government building, but it's in a video, so just wait. And he's going to announce himself dictator. Okay? All right, so why do people listen to Hitler? This is the last thing we're going to talk about. All right? And I'll just read off the slide. Hitler was among other ruthless leaders to rise to power in the 1920s and 1930s by taking advantage of people's anger and suffering. All right, the Great Depression hit Germany hard. There was over a depression in the 1920s as a result of the Treaty of Versailles in Germany. So you have to keep that in mind. Businesses failed and millions of people lost their jobs. Hitler won Germany by appealing to fears about the economy and bitterness over the Versailles Treaty. And again, he was a really good speaker. So I'm going to show you kind of like a video of him speaking. And in it, you see he starts off really quiet. And the reason he does that is he wants everyone to kind of like stop talking because they're like, why can't we hear this, guys? And he slowly starts to like get louder and louder until he's in like a total craze. So in history documentaries, what they usually show you is him like screaming and flailing his arms, but it's not like he walked up to the microphone and did that. He like built it up. So he was a really good speaker. So there's one thing I guess you could say he was good at was being a motivator, but obviously he's an evil man. Okay, all right. So that's it for today. Good, I kept this at like 10 minutes.